Alright, so this is our second franchise review, and after doing Pokemon, I decided it would be appropriate to do Digimon. If you haven't played any of the Digimon games before, you are seriously missing out. And if you play any of the Pokemon games and like them, then you definitely need to check out Digimon. Now, if you're a fan of animes or RPGs, you probably already know this series, but we're going to dive right in finding which ones are the good games, which ones aren't, and kind of maybe where to start for people too. Alright, jumping right in on the PlayStation, we have the Digimon World games. For the PlayStation 1, we got Digimon World, Digimon World 2, and Digimon World 3. Digimon World is just a advanced version of the Digipet. I mean, honestly, this one has more nostalgia purposes than anything, for being okay. The game's not that great. It can get boring fast, and it can be pretty tedious. So if you hadn't played this before and just want to go back for nostalgia, no real reason to pick it up. However, next, going with Digimon World 2. Digimon World 2, probably one of the greatest Digimon games of all time. I mean, yeah, a lot of that's nostalgia. There wasn't too much of this that was greater than, any of the other Digimon games, but coming out at the time that it did, this is one of the games I spent most of my time playing on the PlayStation. Digimon World 2 was just excellent. It's a fairly long RPG for the PlayStation as well, even only being on one disc. And there's 3 different teams you can join, so lots of replay value too. I mean, maybe today it doesn't hold up too well against other RPGs, but back in the day there is only one other RPG I'd rather be playing, and that was Final Fantasy VII. So that tells you how good this game was. Next, there's Digimon World 3. And Digimon World 3, it was fun in its own right. It had a small version of the Digimon card game within it that, I kind of would rather play than the actual PlayStation 1 trading card game that they had for Digimon. But it had a lot in it. You could fish. You could basically headbutt the trees like it could in later Pokemon games to get other Digimon to drop down and fight. And also items. It's part of why they do the fishing too. And while there's not that many rookies you can choose from, they can evolve into several different higher level Digimon. The only problem really with this Digimon is that the walking around in it can get really cumbersome and in the gameplay's way. And also another thing against it is you're only battling with one Digimon at a time. And I really hate, in RPGs, losing a character, so in this game you're guaranteed to lose a character, so that's why 3 wasn't nearly as good as 2 for me. Now, staying on the PlayStation, like I mentioned before, there was a Digimon trading card game, PlayStation game. Which, yeah, there was a Digimon trading card game. Another thing that Digimon had that was actually quite a bit better than Pokemon. And while I never actually played this on the PlayStation, it looks like it followed the card game pretty faithfully. And this is definitely one I plan to pick up later on whenever I'm, picking back up my collection again. Now, also on the PlayStation, we had a few fighting games. Well, not a few fighting games. We only got the one. Digimon Rumble Arena. Digimon Rumble Arena was a lot of fun. For the most part, most of the moves for the different Digimon are practically the same, but they do handle slightly differently. And playing with each and every one of them is actually pretty fun. There's no Digimon I can remember playing with that I just didn't want to play with. And unlocking the bigger, badder Digimon and just playing through again and wrecking your opponents, super fun. If you like obscure fighting games, this is definitely a good one. Alright, now moving on to the PS2, we have the Digimon World 4. I didn't get to play a whole lot of this because I had bought a used game and it broke pretty fast. However, this is an action role-playing game and can even be played multiplayer. I didn't care too much for the little bit of gameplay I did get, and actually, if you look at this, the price on it's pretty cheap, so you can kind of guess that not very many people cared for this one. However, I'm definitely going to end up picking this one back up and trying to play all the way through it. And it came out on multiple systems. It's not just the PS2, but the GameCube and the Xbox got a version of this as well. Also, I hear the story is very excellent. Now, also on the PS2, and I believe a copy came out for the GameCube as well. Nothing on the Xbox for this one, I believe, though. I could be wrong on that, don't quote me. But we got Digimon Battle Arena 2. Now, Battle Arena 2 does feature a lot of characters from that first Battle Arena, but the graphics has received an extreme boost. The stages have more than doubled in size, and instead of going straight from your rookie to your mega levels, you go from rookie to champion to ultimate and then mega. So you'll want the battles to take a long time. Unfortunately, I never got to play this game. Honestly, I never even knew it came out until much, much later. So it's hard for me to give an opinion of this game, but it looks amazing, and it's another one that I absolutely intend to get eventually. Alright, last up on the PS2, I'm going to talk about Digimon World Data Squad. Now, this is another game I missed out on. For some reason, I just had no way of knowing games were coming out on the PlayStation 2, I guess, because I missed out on quite a bit. But Digimon World Data Squad exists as a tie-in for the Digimon Data Squad anime, which is actually probably the worst of the Digimon anime, which is saying something considering, the season where the humans were Digimon. But from what I can tell, this plays like Digimon World 2, so I'm actually fairly excited to go back and try playing this one. But like I said, haven't played it, so hard to give an opinion. Alright, now, PS3 only saw one Digimon game, and that was way later in the PS3's life, like long after the PS4 had come out. This game is Digimon Battle All-Stars. Now, this game was absolutely terrible. Honestly, it made me want to play the original Digimon Battle Arena, which, as mentioned, came out on the PlayStation. Not the Digimon game we wanted, but we got it, so I support it and paid the full, $40 price on it. This game seems to have come out as almost a tester for the US. See, after, the Nintendo DS, we stopped getting Digimon games for a while. And it was tragic, because this was whenever we saw some of the best Digimon games coming out in Japan. However, after some very lofty petitions, we eventually got this game, and I guess it received enough support, because they actually poured over the game we did want at that time, which we'll talk about later whenever we get to PS4. This game plays out as almost a little action-adventure at the start, but then, there is multiplayer where you just fight against each other. And also, at the very end, you're fighting a boss monster that's in fighting style. Now, the whole action-adventure thing... Now, the action-adventure in this really doesn't work. And some of the Digimon play like garbage, so trying to, beat the game with all the Digimon is nearly impossible, especially for me. I seriously had a hard enough time beating it with the ones I do like, and most of them played excellent. Well, not excellent, but better than you would expect for this game. Thing is, if you didn't get this game whenever it first came out, there's really no point in getting it now, unless you just want to complete a Digimon collection. Now, moving on to the PS4, we get to that golden god of game that I mentioned before. In Japan, Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth came out on the Vita, and it was so amazing, people were importing it here to America to play, because Vita and PS4, they weren't region locked. I even bought myself a Vita and ordered this game from Japan. As a matter of fact, a lot of people did. It's probably what sold quite a few Vitas here in the US. Now, I'd originally gotten this because, I did figure there was no way we were finally going to get this thing, ported over. They were really on their hands about this. But sure enough, 1 year after I'd bought the game and beat it, they announced that we were getting a port. I was a little bit annoyed, but in all honesty, I enjoyed the game a whole lot. Even though I didn't understand a lot of the dialogue that was going on, mostly just translated the battle menus to help me get through battles, but yeah. I had no problem paying full price $60 for the PS4 version and playing that. Game was freaking amazing, and if you haven't played this, you absolutely should. If you're an RPG fan, Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth for the PS4 and PS Vita. Easily the best game of that year. And it had a lot of competitions for that spot. Alright, now, the last thing we got on the PS4 upon doing this video was Digimon World, The Next Order. I was actually pretty excited to be getting this game, because it's a much improved version of Digimon World, or at least that's what I was under the impression of. So I was all ready for that nostalgia of Digimon World 1, with new graphics, improved gameplay, and all-around better story. However, when this game came out, there's not that much that went into improving the gameplay. Honestly, I'm kind of hesitant to say there was barely anything to improve the gameplay from Digimon World 1. However, the story was much better, and they even include the character from the first one, so it did, get those nostalgia boners going. However, looking back, if I knew what I knew now, there's no way in hell I would have paid that $60 for this game. It bored me with how repetitive it was. And if you don't like just taking care of digital pets for hours, I would suggest skipping over this one. Because easily 90+% of this game is just taking care of an animal. But wait, there's more. Coming out on the PS4 in the future, we've got the next Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth game. Super excited about this one, especially since Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth was so freaking amazing. And yeah, as I said, absolutely cannot wait for this game to come out. Now, going back in time a little bit, I'm going to talk about our handheld consoles. Coming out on the Game Boy Advance, we had a few fighting games. Now, these handle quite a bit differently from the original Battle Arenas. I mean, maybe not that differently than Battle Arena, the first one for the PlayStation, but it is Game Boy Advance, so obviously smaller graphics. And basically the point of these games is you're knocking balls out of your opponents and collecting those, and then whoever has the most balls at the end of the timer is the winner of the fight. But I mean, other than that difference, it plays a lot like the original Battle Arena. Both Digimon Spirit 1 and Digimon Spirit 2. Digimon Spirit 2 just features, the newer Digimon. So, very excellent thing to do for fighting games is to release your second one and have all new fighters. Some people making games today could learn from that shit. Yeah, I'm talking about Dragon Ball Xenoverse and freaking Naruto. Seriously, just releasing the same fucking game every year with two new characters. There's a good reason why these anime fighters are pretty much only buttoned by weeaboo trash. Anyways, moving on from that rant, there's another game that came out on the Game Boy Advance, but this game was Digimon Racing, and it, like many other games at that time, was just a goofy-ass little port of, Mario Kart, but with Digimon. And now, we get to move on to one of my favorite consoles for Digimon games, and that is the DS. The DS saw 4 games here in the States, and 3 of them were pretty damn excellent. Digimon World DS was the first one we saw, and it was very good. Very, very good. And after that, we saw Digimon World Dawn and Dusk, and these were the best ones. Seriously, if you like Digimon, you're gonna probably love these games. Tons of Digimon, you can have multiples of them, and the storyline has you fighting these big giant bosses that sometimes aren't even really Digimon. The strategy elements to this RPG are just excellent, and the story is not bad either. The story plays out almost like Digimon World 2, honestly. And from what I can tell, it seems like everyone else liked these games too. They sell for pretty high. Which is kind of why it's even more confusing why we didn't really get many Digimon games after this. Alright, now, after that, we got another game called Digimon World Championship. It's it's an action role-playing game with elements, sports, and digital pet games. It wasn't nearly as good. I would suggest skipping this one, unless, like I said, you're just trying to complete your Digimon collection. Not sure why it wasn't nearly as good, especially since it came out after the other Digimon World games, but this one was, I think it was done by a different group. I know it was done by Epix. And now, this is where Digimon games essentially stopped for Western releases for a long time, up until we got that Digimon All-Stars. However, as mentioned, there was tons of releases still going on up in Japan. And it's sad that many of these games to this day, still not actually poured over in English. Hell, I would buy them all. They got a boosted up remake of the original Digimon World game for the PSP, and a game that plays like the Digimon World games with the original Digidestin for the PSP as well. And then a kick-ass 3DS game for the Digimon World games called Digimon World Redigitized Decode. There's also a lot of games that came out on the PlayStation for, Digimon World series that were supposed to be pretty good, but never really saw a release over here. They also received a lot more of those Digimon trading card games for the, console system. And even quite a few Digimon World games that utilized the Pocket Station, which sadly didn't see much use here in the States. Maybe that's why we never got ports of them. But still, it would have been awesome to have at least translations or ports done for, even digital copies to play. Even though, definitely want the physical copies. And then there's a whole slew of Digimon games out for the WonderSwan, which we never saw stateside. Though, we never saw the WonderSwan stateside, so not surprising there. However, I hear these games are very excellent, and they actually connect the Digimon Seasons 1 and 2 with 3. So, even if they could, port this to the DS or something, it would have been impressive. However, as mentioned, we didn't get a lot of Digimon games, unfortunately. This was mostly a Japanese craze. And unfortunately, that just means we missed out on a lot of good games. However, hopefully, with, games like Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth and Digimon World Next Order, that's all a thing of the past. Now, moving on to phone/mobile devices, there's actually kind of two games. The main one is Digimon Heroes, which actually was only released in Japan originally and lasted for about 5 years till eventually they just took the servers down. I think it wasn't getting enough business. It's a free game, but of course you can kind of play to win. You can pay money to get significantly better Digimon. However, after they closed down the servers in Japan, they opened up in America, and the game's super fun. At least as far as mobile games go. I would suggest, getting this one. Also, they didn't release it all at once. They're kind of holding it and releasing out Digimon slowly, so you'll want to keep playing it, basically. Another one to talk about, which isn't an official Digimon game, is Super Fusion Simulator. Now, this game's a whole lot of fun, even though it definitely does a lot to try and get you to pay into it. But you can still have fun without paying, so don't let that stop you. However, as mentioned, it's an unofficial game, and I think it probably went by another name beforehand. So, if you are going to get into it and enjoy playing it, do keep in mind that there's a chance it could get shut down. And sadly, that's all we've really seen for, cell phone, the mobile, and Android devices. Now, on the computer, there's another game that I'm pretty sure started off as unofficial, but then seems to have gotten the blessing of Digimon itself, so it's been going strong, and sadly, for some fuck reason, I can't play it. Of course, talking about Digimon Masters Online. Now, I tried downloading this from the Aria game sites in which it's located, and I can just never get this to run on my computer for some reason. Which, I have a custom-built computer, so, clearly the problem isn't my computer so much as whatever downloading program is, whatever the hell. I was super annoyed and couldn't get a fix on this because there's just not enough people working on this game for as huge as it is. They later released, essentially a port of this for Steam for Steam users, and I was super excited because I figured, finally, I get to play this freaking game. But, day one, this shit was, servers were down this game every single freaking day. So, I decided just to stop trying and give it a few months to work itself out, hopefully. Hopefully they'd build up the servers knowing there were so many people wanting to play, right? Nope. 2 months after I tried playing, and server crashed every single time again. So, there's people who've been playing this game for years and have freaking amazing Digimon from what I've seen. But, I'll just never get to play it. I'm pretty jelly. And now, that's really all for the Digimon franchise. Like I said, freaking Digimon Story Cyber Sleuth, amazing game. You should absolutely play it. However, if you don't have a PS4, Digimon World 2, excellent game even today. And Digimon World Dawn and Dusk are freaking amazing too, if you got the DS. So, that's really where I would suggest starting. Hope you enjoyed this franchise review. Be sure to like and subscribe. Comment, letting me know what other franchises I maybe should look into doing a review for at least. And most importantly, don't forget to take care of yourselves.